November 1918. A German emperor sits in a train car at a Belgian military headquarters, waiting for an answer. He has just been told that his own army will not fight for him anymore. Within hours, he will cross into the Netherlands as a private citizen and never set foot in Germany again. He will live for another 23 years, long enough to watch the empire he lost collapse into a republic, and that republic collapse into something far worse. This is the story of Kaiser Wilhelm II, the emperor who lost his throne without a single shot fired at him personally, and lived just long enough to see what came after. Wilhelm was born in 1859, the grandson of Britain's Queen Victoria, a birth that was supposed to be a symbol of peace between two great powers. Instead, it was traumatic. A difficult delivery left his left arm permanently withered, a disability he spent his entire life trying to hide in photographs, always angled to conceal it. He became Kaiser in 1888, inheriting the throne of a Germany unified less than 20 years earlier by the political genius Otto von Bismarck. For 2 years, the old Chancellor and the young Emperor clashed constantly. In 1890, Wilhelm forced Bismarck out, removing the one man who had spent decades carefully balancing Germany's relationships with the rest of Europe. Without Bismarck, Wilhelm ruled almost entirely on instinct, impulsive, insecure about his disability, and obsessed with proving Germany belonged among the world's great empires. That obsession led directly to the decision that would define his reign, building a German navy large enough to rival Britain's. It triggered a decades-long arms race and pushed Britain, Germany's natural trading partner, into closer alliance with France and Russia instead. By the summer of 1914, Europe was a web of alliances waiting for a single spark. It came in Sarajevo with the assassination of an Austrian archduke. Wilhelm gave Austria-Hungary his full backing, expecting a short, contained war. Instead, the alliance system pulled in Russia, France, Britain, and eventually much of the world. World War I dragged on for 4 years, and Wilhelm's role shrank with every passing year of it. Real power shifted to his military generals. By 1918, with German cities starving under blockade and the army collapsing at the front, sailors at the naval base in Kiel mutinied rather than launch one final, hopeless attack. The mutiny spread into a full revolution within days. On November 9, 1918, without even consulting Wilhelm, the government announced his abdication to try to stop the revolution from turning into a full communist uprising, following Russia's example the year before. Wilhelm was at military headquarters in Spa, Belgium, when he found out the empire he had ruled for 30 years was over, and no one had asked him. Wilhelm crossed into the neutral Netherlands the next day and was granted asylum. The Dutch government refused Allied demands to extradite him for a war crimes trial, the first such trial ever proposed against a head of state, and he settled at Huisdoorn, a modest country estate where he would live for the rest of his life. He spent his exile chopping wood, thousands of trees by his own count, writing self-justifying memoirs, and holding on to the fantasy that Germany would one day restore him to the throne. It never did. When the Nazis rose to power in the 1930s, Wilhelm initially hoped Hitler might reinstate the monarchy. Hitler had no such intention. He saw Wilhelm as a relic, useful only for his aristocratic name, not as anyone to actually restore to power. Wilhelm lived just long enough to watch Nazi Germany invade the Netherlands in 1940, the country that had sheltered him for over 2 decades, and to see German soldiers posted incongruously as a guard of honour outside the home of the Emperor Germany itself had discarded 22 years earlier. He died in June 1941 at Huisdoorn at the age of 82, outliving the empire he'd ruled by more than 2 decades, and living to see the beginning of a war even more catastrophic than the one that had ended his reign. Unlike the Romanovs, Wilhelm's story doesn't end in a basement. It ends in a quiet Dutch country house, in exile, forgotten by the country he once ruled. His request to be buried only once Germany restored its monarchy has never been fulfilled. His mausoleum at Huisdoorn still waits, in a sense, for a Germany that will never come back. Germany itself never restored the monarchy. Instead, it went through a fragile republic, a Nazi dictatorship, a Second World War, and eventual division and reunification. The Hohenzollern dynasty that once ruled for over 500 years reduced, like the Romanovs, to private citizens with a famous surname and no throne to return to. The Kaiser lost his empire without ever facing a single soldier's bullet, and lived 2 more decades in exile to watch the world change without him. Next episode, we're heading to the Habsburgs of Austria-Hungary, an empire that didn't just lose a war, but disappeared from the map entirely. If you want to see that story, subscribe. Fallen Crowns posts a new fallen dynasty every week.